Okay, who wants to try to cold bash this with me? So the point is, like, if this question is too easy for us, we can use it as a chance to learn some more advanced stuff. Yeah? You don't have to just do the same easy question over and over.
I just don't forget to post the solution in the comments.
Okay, so in cold bash,
Yeah.
so the good thing that makes it cold bash is right angles, yeah? Lots of right angles. Cold bash loves right angles.
Yeah.
Okay? Alright. Where would you make the axes for this cold bash?
The L line.
L.
What?
B, C,
I
and
didn't say
C, D. I don't know.
Actually, the L line isn't that bad an idea, but it's not that great an idea either. So,
It's just an idea.
Just like me.
Just an idea. You're a bad idea.
actually, we should try both options.
Concept.
We should try what happens if we bash with L line as the x-axis. Yeah, it's actually not that bad an idea because you get the coordinates of C and A. And do you really even need D? I mean,
D's just here for the vibes.
do you really even need D?
Yeah, clicking producing.
Okay.
That's normal.
Okay, but no matter what, like, where would the origin be? Do you know?
Somewhere.
If you post a recording on YouTube and then someone watches it, I'm going to cry.
Why?
Oh, great.
Why? Is that the incentive to watch it?
No.
It's like, if you watch it, I'm gonna cry.
No. It's like, don't watch it because I'm going to cry.
Oh.
I'll get all my like 16 different accounts to watch it.
Oh my God.
Okay. Let's try your thing if it works. Okay? 'Cause I think it's good to experiment because some people are always like, oh, that's not gonna work, and then the thing is like they never try it, and the thing it actually does work,
But what if it
and then you
did?
just never know, right?
It's crazy.
It happens all the time, and especially like when someone you think is smart says it, so then they're like, oh, we should believe them because they're smart, right? But it still doesn't make it true. Okay.
I'm trying to be smart.
I'm not smart.
Same.
Okay.
Let's sticky take this stuff.
And this is basically how I guess you can beat smart people in maths competitions because they don't try the right things sometimes. Okay, so what happens if x-axis is the L, the line L,
Ow.
and obviously B is the origin. And and then maybe X is no longer a good enough symbol for this length of the square. Let's make the length of the square. Let's make the width of the square W. Okay.
Why?
W.
Oh, fair. Found it. So smart.
Okay. Yeah, I think the thing that makes it kind of tough, but I think it's still doable. So you have like, now you have 2 lines instead of.
Yay.
You have 2 lines, yeah?
Wow.
Okay, can someone tell me what the coordinates of the point B are?
0, 0.
Good.
Oh my God.
What are the coordinates of the points A and C?
Not 0.
W5.
W5. Ooh.
Oh, not W.
Something 5.
Math.
And then
Yay.
something -6. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah, so you're saying W it's like square root of 5, W squared minus 5 squared. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I meant, but I didn't.
Okay, and then C is something 7, yeah?
And it's just
W root W squared minus 7 squared, yeah? Okay. Okay. Yeah, so I guess in chord bash, one of the key things that lets you do the right angles is, do you know if they're right angles, the slope's times the -1. Yeah?
Yeah.
That makes sense. You know what slope is?
The gradient.
It's like
This-
rise over run.
So the slope of AB, yeah, is equal to, so from B to A, it goes up by 5 and it goes across by root W squared minus 5 squared, right? So the slope is rise over run, okay? So right over W squared minus 5 squared. Yeah, that's the slope. Okay. Alright, what's the slope of BC? Well, BC goes down 7. The slope of BC, it goes down 7, okay? And it goes across minus 7 squared, right? Yeah? Okay, so now the condition is the slopes multiply to minus 1. Yeah? Okay. So if you multiply it together, the minus you get, if you times these and get minus 1, you essentially get that 5 times 7 equals root W squared minus 5 squared times W squared minus 7 squared.
Oh.
Okay?
Yay.
Yeah. And it's actually nice that some of the W squareds cancel, yeah? So you get 5 squared times 7 squared. If you square both sides, you get W squared minus 5 squared times W squared minus 7 squared. Okay, and then when you expand it, the W 5 squared times 7 squared cancel, yeah?
Oh.
So you get W to the 4 minus 5 squared plus 7 squared W squared equals 0. Okay? And since W squared is not equal to 0, you can cancel W squared. You get W squared equals 5 squared plus 7 squared. Okay? So that solves the problem. Okay, I mean, while we're here, we might as well do the natural. This is not a natural code batch. Let's do a more natural code batch. Okay. Okay, let's do it again. So you have a square, A, B, C, D, and you have a line L, like this, and you have that's 5, and this is 7, right? Let's call this W and W. Yeah. I think a more natural code batch, just because it's already like that, is to make this the x-axis, and it's kind of weird going down to the y-axis, but we can go up or down. It doesn't make a difference, but so then B again is 0, 0. Yeah. What is now you, instead of having 2 equations, you really just have the equation of like, yeah, so A is W 0, and C is now 0 W, you know? Yeah, but now we have like the equation of the red line to consider, possibly. Okay. Yeah. So if we can find the equation of the red line, you might be able to find W. I mean, when you just do naive code bash, you just try to find the coordinates of all the points and the equations of all the lines, you know? So D is WW. And so there's some line, yeah, which has a distance 7 So this is maybe a formula that's a bit advanced for you right now, but actually there's a formula that tells you actually if you had an equation of a line and a point, you can actually work out the distance between the point and the line. Obviously, you can just do it manually, but there's actually a formula for that, and that used to be in the HSC 2-unit syllabus, and it came up in my 4-unit exam, which is kind of weird. And yeah.
It was 4 extension 2.
Yeah, extension 2. So if
But how many units do you get? Is there
10, yeah, and depending on your school, like you have to do English no matter what, and then depending on your school, you might have to do religion. So, but you don't have to count religion. That's the thing. So you can do more than 10 units to back up religion.
Oh yeah, my school. Imagine having to do religion.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think. So if the equation I think is like this. So if you have x naught, y naught is your point, right? And the line is given by ax plus by plus cz plus c equals 0. Yeah. Then the equation, the distance between the point and the line is like something like you sub in the point into the equation. So it's ax naught plus by naught plus c. And then you divide by the square root of a squared plus b squared. Something like this. And you might need absolute value. Just to make sure it's not negative. Yeah, because obviously the equation of the line there is homogeneous, so you could make it negative, and the distance would go negative. So that's why you need the absolute value. You know? So if we could find the equation of the line, or even just yeah. So the point in question is maybe this is enough to find the equation of the line, yeah? So I mean, this is quite a novel approach, but whatever. So x naught, y naught, in this case, you can pick a, right? If you pick a, then the distance is 5, right? And then, so the 0 really helps there for y naught. So you get aw plus c over square root a squared plus b squared, right? And then you get 7 equals, so now it's bw plus c over the square root of a squared plus b squared. It seems kind of weird. It should be, maybe it's a squared plus b squared plus c squared. Does this kind of make sense? If it's just b is a, maybe it does. I wonder if this actually gets there. So if you equate the two equations, how do you solve for this? We have yeah. I don't know, maybe it's easier to find the equation of the line first. Like, you know the line goes between A and D, so maybe you could do like, you can make this like E here, and then come up with the equation in terms of E. So the equation in terms of E would just be y equals e over wx, right? People still paying attention. Y equals e over wx, you know? Which if you write it in that form, it's like ex minus wy equals 0. Okay, so there's actually no c, which is really good. So I wasn't sure about the formula with the c anyway. So what you actually get is so ex minus wy equals 0. So this e is our a, and this w is our minus w is our b. Yeah. So it's ew. So 5 equals ew on root e squared plus w squared, and then 7 equals the c is 0, bw. So the bw is just the b is minus w, right? So it's this top thing is just 7 equals w squared over root e squared plus w squared. Okay. Does that make sense? Huh? Which part doesn't make sense? Okay, so everything is a little bit too much. You gotta go one thing at a time, yeah? So it's different. So do you understand why this is the equation of this line L? Hmm? Okay, how about this? If you don't understand what's going on, you can at least try to solve these two equations, yeah? So you gotta get in the habit of having the ability to assume that's true and going from there, yeah? Can you assume those two equations are true and solve? And we actually know E is positive, so we don't need this absolute value here. Okay. So can you assume these two equations are true and solve and try to solve them? So in principle, if you have two equations with two unknowns, you have a chance to maybe solve them, yeah? So this is not linear equations, but some principles still apply, yeah? Yeah, see, at least you acknowledge you're not understanding stuff. These people, they don't understand anything, and they don't have any hope of understanding anything. They're not even paying attention. Okay, so if you look at these two equations, right? You can equate this. This is the hard part, yeah? You can equate them, okay? So 5 lots of that is equal to EW, and 7 lots of that equals W squared, yeah? So that means 7 EWs is equal to 5 W squared. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want, I see that, and I'm waiting for you to say the next step. If you actually understand that, okay, you can see the next step as well. Where people actually trying to figure out this step.
Cancel out W.
Yeah, see? Activate your mind. Your stagnant mind. Just like and wait. It's quite disgusting, okay? Because not only could you not actually come up with it yourself, I told you, and then you just like and then wait. Don't do that, okay? Okay, so Min, do you see how to get from here to there? Yes or no? So get from this red box to this red box.
Yeah.
Yeah? Because you just times both sides by this square root thing, right? And you get 5 times the square root thing equals EW, right? And you times the other one, you get 7 times the square root thing equals W squared, right? And so if you want to make them the same, you can times both sides by 7 here, right? And times both sides by 5 here. So then these are equal, because these are equal, yeah? So 7 EW times 5 W squared. Then where you go from there? How can you proceed here? And cancel out the W, right?
7E is 5W.
7E equals 5W, yeah? Okay. So can you see what that means? That tells you what E is, right?
Yeah.
Well, E is now 5/7 W, yeah? So you know exactly where the line goes now, right? And E on W, and this equation now is 5/7, right? So you know where all the points are, where all the equations, you know the equation of all the lines, you know the coordinates of all the points, yeah?
No.
Yes?
Mm.
So maybe now we can try and substitute back into one of the equations, yeah? So any one of these things should give it to us now. So E is 5/7 of W, yeah? So then, for example, if we take this equation here, yeah? This equation here, yeah? And then we go, like, E is 5/7 of W, yeah? So phi equals 5/7 of W times W over the square root of 5/7 squared W squared plus W squared, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that seems like it doesn't help us, but it does, right? Because there's a W on the bottom and there's W squared on the top, yeah? So the W squared cancels with the W, okay? And the 5 cancels. So a lot of cancelling, okay? So you cancel the 5s, yeah? You can cancel the W squareds to cancel the W. You can put the 7 on the other side if you want. So then you get 7 on the other side times the square root of 5/7 squared plus 1 equals W, right? Which literally simplifies to, if you put the 7 on the inside, you get 5 squared plus 7 squared equals W, right? And W squared equals 5 squared plus 7 squared. You understand?
Yeah.
Oh. So the subtlety here is, so what you got to understand is when you look at this, your impression is like, oh, this is hard, the other solution's easy, I'm gonna go with the other solution, right?
Yeah.
But that is not correct, okay? The point you should understand, yeah, with growth mindset,
I don't have one of those.
is that all the things which make this solution difficult is stuff that you bring to the table. You can prepare for outside the exam, right? So like I know how this formula works, yeah? I know how coordinates work, okay? And I know how algebra works, okay? Yeah? So all of the extra complexity is outside of the exam, is inside of me, right? And I use it to solve this problem without thinking. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So for someone who knows all this, this is easier than the solution Rihanna came up with.
I know congruent triangles. This row is easy for me.
But it's not about. But the thing is, not knowing congruent triangles isn't enough. Does that make sense? Like you had to know congruent triangles, and then you had to see the congruent triangles here. Yeah.
True.
Whereas I just had to know this stuff, and that was it. You understand? That's the difference. If you appreciate that, you kind of appreciate how mathematics works. And so that's why that's why Descartes is famous, right? And then there's no one got congruent triangles named after him, I guess. It's Cartesian coordinates. It empowered people. So it's kind of like it's like bashify, like bashify or mathify, you know, Shopify. The whole point is like you empower people, right? Because before only the mathematicians could do this problem, right? But now you give the plebs a way to do this problem.
All they have to do is memorize it.
Yeah. See? Yeah, you're kind of leveraging. So in some sense, yeah. So like it's kind of like a different approach because this one you're kind of at home, like lying on your bed learning, right? Slowly. And the other one is like, how do you get better at the other one? It's like you have to be like charging up to Super Saiyan 2 like every. Yeah. I mean, it sounds weird if I'm talking up the other solution. It might not actually be that hard, but I'm trying to emphasize the difference between them. Okay. Yeah, like ideally you'd be able to come up with the other solution. You know what I'm saying? Ideally you'd avoid this in the exam.
That's the intended solution.
Which one?
The other solution.
I think obviously, yeah, the intended solution is never a bash. Okay.
And it's not.
So the trig one and this chord bash, they're novel. Okay.
Novel.
Yeah, but the novelty
Oh. Why do you post it?
on YouTube. Can't find most of them.
Because they only access.
They're unlisted. So you should request the video. So if you request the video, I'll just send the link to you.
Why do you post them on YouTube anyway?
If I leave it unlisted. Because then I just send the link to people.
And you can send the link to the video.
Huh?
To like
have the video
downloaded video.
But the downloaded video is on my computer. What do you mean?
Well, you can send the file.